Space Jam 2. 25 years of waiting, and we get this.
Porky Pig, they call me P-double-L-G. Step to me, he don't want no trouble.
Yeah.
Now, if you found any measure of joy while watching this film, good for you, but I absolutely despised it. Like, it's the worst movie I've seen in recent memory. A lot of that might have been because I'm a massive fan of the original, which was my favorite movie when growing up, but a lot of that I think is because the movie's not very good. So rather than just complaining about what's wrong with Space Jam 2, let's see if we can do anything to turn it around, and what we can do to fix Space Jam 2 and make it at least watchable. Now, I'm not going to come up with a completely original film, even though that may be easier, but instead I want to tackle this similar to how I tackle my canceled Pixar series. Play with the cards that we got and make small changes to have the parts total up to something greater. Essentially, I'm treating this as me coming to the fourth quarter of this film's production and changing what I can to make it better. So here's my version of Space Jam 2 with the plot we were given. Now, I want to focus and actually double down on the themes that we were given here, but I want to make them build to something. And that theme really is family and acceptance. So we still have the LeBron James and his son dynamic, because honestly, we're kind of stuck with it. It's too baked into this plot. LeBron sticking to his fundamentals basketball, while his son developing his own video game. But the main difference with the video game is we're going to lose the whole style point system. Because honestly, it's dumb, but more importantly, it's hard to quantify how many points you're actually getting for these things. So let's simplify. Now the same plot plays out. He's brought into Warner Brothers to pitch an idea to LeBron. But rather than having Don Cheadle in shiny outfits playing Algae Rhythm, terrible name, let's take this to more of a digital approach and make the algorithm more of an actual algorithm and make it a little bit more like the Copilot in WALL-E. It needs to be more analytical, less charismatic. You can give it some personality, but just don't do this. You could honestly just do the simple face on a screen like they did in the Mitchells vs. the Machines, and I think it would work tremendously better. Either way, LeBron James is brought in, but rather than pitching King James as Harry Potter and Khaleesi, whatever that is, they approach it as Warner Brothers not wanting to sign LeBron, but turn him from a basketball star into an icon. Have him star in movies, make appearances, record deals, whatever have you. Build a brand that can rival any brand out there, and that brand is LeBron. LeBron, of course, refuses and says he's sticking to basketball and wants to keep it simple, that fundamentals. And then the rest follows as it does. The algorithm brings him in. Fast forward, we get to the rejects and the Looney Tunes. Well, just bugs. Side note, however, LeBron James isn't animated here. He's live action throughout. Now with Bugs and him being alone is something that is a really missed opportunity within this movie. He's just normal Bugs, just alone. Instead, I want to find Bugs alone and depressed by himself. And rather than seeing that Bugs we know and love, we see a despondent shell of himself. He explains that he drove the Looney Tunes away by not wanting to change. You see, kids simply aren't watching the Looney Tunes anymore, and the algorithm actually came to them with new ideas and new ways for them to be popular. And Bugs, being the leader of the Looney Tunes, turned him away. Slowly they became annoyed, and they drifted, and eventually left Looney Tunes world and found new places within the universe, until, slowly, he was alone. Now James identifies with this, and shares that him and his son are on different paths as well, and he feels like he's being left behind in his life, because he simply doesn't understand him. They both confide in each other, and they agree James needs a team, and Bugs simply needs his family back. LeBron tracks down universes and tries to recruit for his team, as we see Bugs talking to his friends. James has some sort of success, but Bugs none at all. We can see Bugs in a series of scenes failing and failing. His friends haven't forgiven him yet, and they aren't ready to come home. So as LeBron and his team are preparing for the big battle, Bugs jumps on board, looking for a new group of friends. So instead of seeing exactly what we did in this movie, we see a new team, not even called the Toon Squad, called the Dream Team. One that consists of every powerhouse within the universe. Really what James wanted to do from the original. I mean, in what world do you think Superman would say no to rescuing a kid? They wear a new jersey branded the Dream Team, and when the game actually comes to fruition, we actually feel like LeBron James has a chance. He has superstars. It's the moment in the original where the Monstars are revealed, except LeBron James has all the talent on his side. Superman, King Kong, Trinity, the Iron Giant, even Batman, they're a force to be reckoned with. Now the game starts, and instead we don't have a huge crowd of people being warped through their phone and we don't have the algorithm just saying he'll delete the Looney Tunes, we get a much simpler match. One playing for LeBron James. There are no style points, just basketball, but still with the zaniness of Space Jam. All of Warner Brothers properties watch in their own designated section, as well as it's not the discount versions. And within those sections, dispersed, we see one or maybe two of the members of the Looney Tunes. The game eventually starts and we see a relatively even match, until LeBron's dream team takes somewhat of a beating. It's clear they have no leader, and they definitely have no chemistry. It gets to the point where Bugs is smashed and literally beaten to the ground, where we see the faces of the Toon Squad watching the game. Cut to halftime to a defeated team. The classic image from every sports movie. James goes on with his speech, talking about how King Kong needs to get back on defense. Batman, how you're not a one-man team out there. And Iron Giant, you need to move more and get open. After being exhausted, he stops and sits down next to Bugs, looking defeated. Bugs, depressed himself, goes on to explain they just have no chemistry. Basketball isn't a game of individuals. It's a team coming together for a purpose, a collective, a family. Daffy busts down the door. The whole Looney Tunes squad is behind him. As a collective, they explain they haven't forgiven Bugs yet, but when a friend needs you, you show up. We see a collective huddle, and then we see Tweety Bird pull over a box and says, I knew there was a reason I held on to these. James with his new team bust out of the tunnel wearing the classic Toon Squad jersey. He's found his team. He's found his chemistry. They fall into their old ways. They play the zaniness up. And you watch LeBron get limber as he does in the original film. Much follows as it did. The son-father interaction, algorithm coming into the game and cheating, and the eventual turn of James's son onto the Toon Squad. Now it comes down to the realization of the game-crashing shot. A moment I actually like from the original. Bugs steals the ball and takes the shot. Of course it ends up short, and James gets the ball, and we have this moment. But in a moment where James had the ball and is falling to the ground, he looks to his right, and LeBron does the unexpected. He passes to his son. His son throws up a Hail Mary 3, and it goes in. There's an uproar from the crowd, the bench, and his son has the moment of glory. He gets the moment, not LeBron. It's the mutual respect that his son has been craving the whole movie. But the celebration ends quickly, because we see Bugs glitching out. We get the Looney Tunes finally welcoming back and understanding where he came from, and it was a place of love. We see LeBron look at his son, and we see that mutual respect as the Looney Tunes look at Bugs in the same way.
We did it. We're all back together again.
Bugs glitches and then freezes in that glitch and then fades away. He's gone. Now he actually fades away. He isn't fine moments later. He isn't in the real world. His sacrifice has weight. We should see the pain of losing a memorable character like this one. Of course, this is a children's film. So in the final moments when we see LeBron bringing his son to the expo, there's a shot of the Looney Tunes back at it again, where they're up to their old ways. And as we're watching them do their classic bits, there's a glitch. And for a moment, we see something that resembles Bugs. So there's my version of Space Jam 2, with the plot that we got, but just warped around and, in my mind, a little bit more targeted. How'd I do? Is it better than the original, or does it fall short as well? Let me know in the comments below, as well as let me know what you would do with Space Jam 2, or even Space Jam 3 for that matter. Would you change up the sport? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.